you listening to podcasts that sound like this? Hey, welcome back to the Super OK Podcast, where our audio sounds mediocre.
Or do you prefer podcasts that sound more like this? Crisp, clear, fun, easy to listen to, and full of awesomeness? Well, then you should check out Spoiler Country, hosted exclusively over at Spoilerverse.com. The Young Avengers.
The Young Avengers.
Oh yeah, I was getting a bit worried we weren't going to mention the Young Avengers for a minute.
Because this now brings up, this is the fifth Young Avenger we've now run into, which is Wiccan, Speed, Patriot, Falcon, and now
literally
that's five.
One of my least favorite aspects of the entire Marvel universe, the Young Avengers. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
And I thought for 1 second, we're gonna get away with it. We're not gonna mention it. And it's like, no, here we
every
go.
time, man.
We're back in Young Avengers territory.
But it's true. Yeah. It is weird that we had this is the fifth one that they've introduced in the last, in all these series.
It's definitely coming. It's definitely coming. 1,000%. Yeah.
No, and it's hopefully it's not Casey over his phone right now, but something's definitely coming.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah,
so true.
I mean, they at this point when they literally introduced background characters, and now this is the main character of a show. 5 characters from a team. I mean, obviously they're going. If they introduce Hulkling soon, then we know it's true, right? And they probably will, right? They probably will introduce Hulkling in one of the shows. Like,
Hulkling.
They'll have to have.
He was that,
but he was like some alien.
Who
or
was?
Something.
Hulkling.
Yeah. He's not human, right?
No, he's not human.
I don't even think they've introduced his people yet. So that'll be interesting. They might have, if they do, it'll be a complete I don't know, redo of his background, which is fine.
Different. It's going to be different because Hulkling is technically a child of Captain Marvel.
That's it.
Captain Marvel. I'm reading right now. Captain Marvel and the Emperor's daughter of the Kree, the Skrulls, Princess Anel. So it's they're gonna change that, I'm sure. But Hulkling is Hulkling and I think is it Wiccan have a relationship in the comics, or one of the two brothers have a relationship with the comics. But I'm sure they'll introduce him or some other Avengers in the next show or something. But they're obviously moving towards it because if they're not moving towards it, then they're introducing a lot of characters in it just for fun, which would be cool too, either way. But I think it's been fun to see who they're going to introduce next.
I have a tangent because we're bringing up because you said Hulkling. So we have a friend, Johnny and I do, which we should introduce you guys to, Danny, over at Fourth Wall Productions. He does some pretty cool comic books called Ace Blade, and he has another one. What's the other one called?
Well, another one's Morgan's. That's Lumberjacks.
No, but they have another one, Supreme.
Oh, King Supreme.
King Supreme. They have a whole universe that they're setting up, and it's pretty neat. But Danny has a very active TikTok, and he asked a question the other day, or not, somebody asked him a question, and he kind of talks about the Hulk being the villain and Banner being the good guy, because he was talking about that. Oh, he was talking about WandaVision being the bad guy because she traps everybody. And if you believe Wanda's the bad guy, then you have to believe that the Hulk is the bad guy with Banner. And my thought was that can't be, because the Hulk is born of Banner. Banner and the Hulk are one and the same. They're two sides of the same coin. It's not quite the same thing at all. And I was wondering what you guys thought. I
don't know. It's hard because Hulk kind of falls that line of if you look at the destruction he does and the death and mayhem he may cause, he's the bad guy, but is that really his fault, or is he a tragic bad guy where he has no control over it, right? Because he's all the rage he has is coming out of Banner, yes, but it is now where it's the Banner Hulk. They have the Banner Hulk, Smart Hulk combined, right? And then the current MCU, that's just Banner and Hulk as one. But before that, they were two very different personalities stemming from the same person that were very opposite of each other. So they weren't really. They were different sides of the same coin, I guess. But they were, one of them was a scientist, passive, intellectual. The other one was, full of rage and anger and just took it out by smashing things. So I think I don't know. I never saw Hulk as a bad guy. I always saw him as just I also never saw him as a superhero, right? I saw him as basically a living weapon that other people helped wield and point at things when he and try and focus him. And then they had to try and bring him down so it wouldn't do more damage, you know?
Yeah. I think because he just took the stance of Hulk is keeping Banner a prisoner. And I'm like, there's no prisoner being had here. They're the same person. He just Hulk.
I'm not really buying that at all.
Yeah,
I'm not buying it at all because I think the Hulk's a much more interesting character when you think that what you're looking at is two different facets of who Banner is as a person. And he has I think he's much more interesting, not as a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing, where suddenly he's one guy and then suddenly he has the accident, like he was originally written, the Hulk's a whole fucking monster. I think with the evolution of the Hulk has been over time, it's like, well, actually the Hulk is a facet of Banner and Banner is a facet of Banner. Yeah. And that's why Professor Hulk works so well. I think it's much more interesting. I feel that the whole idea of the Hulk imprisoning Banner is kind of like overly reductive, and it is much less interesting as a construct than a guy who's actually way more complex than he appears to be on the surface. And the minute he has this shit happen to him, it unleashes all this stuff from his head that's in there. He's got all this rage inside him. And, because he's not a muscular guy, it's kind of like it's essentially intellectual rage. But what happens when he creates the Hulk is it manifests into a physical form. Yeah. And it's like, what I think about like Professor Hulk, that I really liked about Professor Hulk in Endgame, of course, is the fact that Professor Hulk is not Banner in the Hulk's body. He's something else entirely. So he still has the Hulk's anger. It's like when he gets fucked off about the Black Widow dying and he starts like tossing stuff around. And when he's in a fight, he's still doubling down. He's not the maniacal, bestial version of himself, which is why he gets embarrassed when they go time traveling, right? Yeah. But he it's not as simple as like he's just a big muscular green Banner. He isn't. Yeah. He's got the Hulk's rage inside him. But I think I think it's almost overly simplistic to look at it in terms of, well, he's captured Banner inside of him. I just don't think that's what it's like. I think they're the same guy, just different facets of the same guy.
Yep. I think we're all in agreement.
Certainly that's the way I prefer to look at the character. I mean, I'm not saying your friend is wrong, because it's like with anything. It's like you'll never find any of what I've just said in Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's original fucking scripts and art panels. You won't find any of it because it was all developed over the ensuing 30 years. But it's certainly what I've come to believe is what makes the Hulk interesting. And it's certainly whether it's Peter David or any of the other great Hulk writers of the last 30 years, it's what they like about the character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The one thing nice about comic books is that it's how you read them and how you perceive them. So there really isn't any wrong opinion when you come down to how you want a character to be or what you feel about a character. It's kind of funny when you see these big fights happen, these Twitter wars happen over comic books. When you're looking at it, you're like, well, it's a comic book of a fictional character. None of this fucking matters.
It does matter. We've had this fight before.
I think it's interesting when people have that much passion over something. I think it's great. Don't get me wrong. But you have to be able to look at it and say, I'll agree to disagree on this one, because I feel when I read it, this is how I perceive it. It's like listening. It's like reading a poem.
Well, art's open
to Robert Frost and read all the Frost poems you want. And you could take 20 people, and I guarantee you 8 of those people are going to have a different feeling and a different aspect of what that poem means.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's the same kind of thing. It's interesting. It's just
1000% correct. That's absolutely right. Yeah, there's no two ways about it.
I get asked by my 15-year-old Jacob all the time. He's big into trying to figure out who could beat who in a fight all the time. And so he'll come to my office and he'll go, "Dad, who would win, Red Hood or Captain America?" and I'm like, well, who's? And I always tell him, okay, so my son Jacob's he's on the spectrum, right? So he hyper focuses on stuff like this. So I always try and tell him, I said, well, who's writing the story? Is the writer a Red Hood fan or a Captain America fan? And he's always like, well, what does that matter? I'm like, well, because whoever writes the story is going to write that person to win.
Well, see, he needs to come back to you and say, you're writing the story, Dad.
Right.
You're writing the story.
But he wants to know, like, then he wants to talk about, like, well, if we're just doing like power sets, who's gonna win? I always tell him, whenever he brings up Red Hood, I tell him what Judd Winnick told me. Judd Winnick, the creator of the Red Hood, and he says, when I asked, I very specifically on the interview asked him, I was like, hey, my son is a big Red Hood fan. Red Hood is his favorite character, and he wants to know.
I went to a fight as Halloween just a couple years ago.
Yeah, he did. He made his own Red Hood costume. But
so brilliant.
Well, I asked him at the end of the interview, I was like, hey, my son's a huge fan. He wants to know who would win in a fight, Red Hood or Batman. And Judd Winnick's response was, well, I'll tell you this, and your son's going to love it, and people out there are going to hate it, is Red Hood's going to win any fight he's in because he's going to cheat. I said, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I told Jacob that, and he was like, awesome.
He can't beat Captain America, though.
Right.
Because Captain America would cheat when he's doing a fight.
Oh, no, yeah, because Cap's not about playing by the rules. Cap's about winning because he's a soldier. Yeah, and he's the ultimate soldier. You know, this. I mean, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
But this is the essence of Steve Rogers' Captain America. People don't understand. He's a soldier and he kills people. You know, simple as that. He's the ultimate special forces soldier. You know what I mean? He's killed hordes of fucking Nazis. Killed thousands of Nazis. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you can't be a soldier and not
Cap
kill
with the
people.
machine gun is what you want to see. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course.
Let's rewind this a little bit.
Yeah.
And talk about Loki, because we did get off on a tangent. It was a fun conversation. We might actually cut that little clip out.
Spaghetti. And we're back.
That's right. We are back. Back in the saddle again. Well, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as much as we did making it for you. And if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you got to go check out Spoilerverse.com, because at Spoilerverse.com, we have a plethora, amazing directors and artists of all walks of life, and editors and writers. And oh my God, are you a lover of comic books like we are? Then there's so many amazing people from the comic book world over at Spoilerverse.com. And I highly implore you to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can check out all the other podcasts on our network, like Bridges and Geekdoms and Funny Book Forensics and Haphazard Adventures and Nerds from the Crypt and so many more.
Misery
we put out
Point
episodes
Radio.
all the time. Go check all of them out. And check out all of the reviews and previews and articles we have going up every single day for you. Every day on Spoilerverse.com for you to check out and to read and to love and to like and to comment. We have a store link. You want to help support the site? You can do it two ways. One, go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/spoilercountry. Or go to our store link in the middle of the site there and get a t-shirt, a face mask, a hoodie, something, look fly as hell, and help support the site when you do that, because we get $1 or $2. And, you know, maybe you want to talk to us. If you do, you can do it obviously on all the socials, but if you go to scpod.us/Discord, you can join our public Discord server and come chat with us all day long.
I couldn't say it better myself, dude.
There you go.
You just mouthed out a ton of information at once. And really, I hope you guys enjoy what you're hearing, because we're working our butts off to bring it to you.
We are.
I guess there's only one left thing. Yeah, I'm going to go with it. There's only one left thing left to do.
What's that?
In oceans of podcasts, we are Cthulhu. As Cthulhu compels you to
Open the mind.
And